gross. Look. She's just so wow. I like big butts. I'm not gonna lie.
The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
All right, it's the 9 Years podcast, everybody. Thursday, the 27th of July. I am Nick Draper, joined by Stuart Deakins. And this week we have an exclusive interview with Jake Reeves, who may no longer be in the middle of our team, but he is in the middle of our podcast. We have a game to play, some new player songs, and a look ahead to our weekend doubleheader of pre-season friendlies. But first, Stu, I have to ask, what is going on with Lyle Taylor?
I don't think too much, Nick, to be honest with you. I think he was missing for the Burton album. He wasn't alone in being missed in terms of being injured or whatever it was. He wasn't at the ground, but that could be anything. He could have been feeling unwell. However, as social media is nowadays, it sort of took off and it went from him being transfer listed or looking for a transfer and so forth. I don't read too much into it. He was in the team last night on Tuesday at Wickham. Come on, and unfortunately did pick up a knock. So I did. I chatted to him afterwards, and he has he said he pulled his calf or popped his calf, which I know from experience, Nick, is quite a painful injury.
And that's going to keep him out for a little while, isn't it?
I think I know when I did mine, it depends if it's a grade 1 or grade 2, but I think if it's a grade 1 or grade 2, it could be 4 weeks maximum, which, me being a cynical person I am, if people are looking at him, we'll probably bring him right to the end of the transfer window in August.
What a shame that would be. But then we're looking at our team now, or we're looking at last season's team, I should say, the spine of which looks like it's going to be missing from our first game at Scunthorpe in just over a week's time. We've sold James Shea, Danny Ballman, Jake Reeves, Tom Elliott. They've all left. Darius Charles and we are presuming Lyle will be injured. And judging by our defeat to Wickham on Tuesday, the new players will take some time to gel with each other. Yeah,
I think they will do. In terms of Tuesday night, you've got Liam Trotter or Dave or Del. I think there's going to be loads of nicknames for him, bless him. Jimmy Abdu, and you've got, George Frankham. I think, yes, it's a new formation. It's not a new formation, it's a new way of playing, isn't it? So I think it's going to take a little while. Tuesday night probably found out the gaps in the formation and mucking players around, but I do think with the additions we've got definitely in Liam Trotter and Jimmy Abdu, we've done very well. And of course, you look through the spine, beyond that, you've got Deji who's come back as well. So all change, but I think we've done well in the transfer market, I really do.
Well, we've certainly got lots of options in midfield now. Who do you see as being our first choice trio?
I feel it's going to be Jimmy Abdu, I think, walks into that team just because of the experience he's got. So I think he goes in, if he's playing 4-3-3, he goes as a defensive midfielder. And I think he'd go with Liam Trotter, and the other one is up for grabs. So I think you've got definitely Liam Trotter and you've got Jimmy Abdu, and then you've got either Dean Parrott or Tom Sawes. I think it really depends on Dean Parrott this year, doesn't it? You know, the message has been sent out from Meet the Manager that he's got to make sure he is effective, even more defensively, or his stats got to be better going forward. So I think that place is up for grabs, which of course then means that you've got people in terms of youth players really trying to grab. You've got George Franklin who can cover many areas, and you've got the Alfie Egan and Annie Hardskin who maybe are looking for the scraps and the little bits and performances here and there, cup games and so forth.
How do we set up then with these three in midfield? As you know, I don't do pre-season.
Of course.
I have no intention of doing any pre-seasons this season, or next season, or the season after that. But with these three in midfield then, do we have two more sitting midfielders and then one more advanced? Or does one sit and then the other two get a bit more licence to move forward? How does it work?
It's very much one sits. So I think if you look at one definitely sits, so Jimmy Abdul will sit. He's not going to be a playmaker. He's going to be he's a player that links everything up. So the way we're going to play this year is very much going to be a passing game. And Jimmy will very much drop in, pick up the balls from whoever's the centre half. So maybe got Will Nightingale, Deji, Ojalaja. He will very much link it in. So Deji's more than comfortable coming out himself. So if Deji comes out with the ball and plays into the midfield areas, then Jimmy drops in. So I think that's where we go. Liam Trotter plays the left of the three. And on Tuesday night, George Franklin played the right of the three, but a very narrow free. So I think it's asking a lot for your fullbacks, because your fullbacks are going to obviously have to make sure the wide players, in terms of doubling up that sort of side. So I think it's a lot of responsibility for the midfielders. You might find away games we might probably go with Tom Sawers, for argument's sake, who then maybe will sit with Jimmy Abdou, and then you've got one person. So I think it really depends on the opposition and so forth of what we do, but it's very much a tight, narrow free, and then from there it's expansive for your fullbacks.
Now, you said on Facebook Live that whilst we pressed and harried Burton when we beat them 3-0 last Friday, we fell victim to that against us. Wickham did that to us on Tuesday night. Can we really read anything into these results, though? Is it a case of the away team in both instances perhaps being a little bit off the pace, whereas the home team were really looking to go out and win the game?
Possibly. It's interesting, if you think about the comments from Nigel Clough after Friday night's game against us for Burton Albion, he said it was ideal position for Burton because they won't face that hard-working team potentially in the Championship, which was an interesting comment, really, because I suppose you think they level up, teams will work hard, but maybe it says we've experienced, you go up the levels, the skill factor is a bit more apparent. So he'd come to our place, pleased with the game, and then you flip to Tuesday night, Neil Hardy's ecstatic that he's actually played a Gareth Ainsworth team who works hard, causes problems with set pieces, Bayo, who causes all different problems you don't face in League One. And yet we've come away going, that's great for us. So our results key? Yeah, it's nice to say unbeaten, but I think what's highlighted from Tuesday night is as Neil Hardy was saying in the I Follow interview, is that we played at the same pace the whole way through. And in the final third, we need to increase the pace. We didn't, and that's where actually we weren't as effective. So I think it's worked well for us.
You talk about set pieces. Neil Hardy discussed set pieces after the Wickham defeat. Aerial prowess, are we lacking in that department at the moment, and do we perhaps need to get another body in, maybe a big centre forward perhaps, that can help us out defensively as well, as discussed, I should say, by Kevin Boris on 9yrspodcast.org last week.
It's an interesting argument, isn't it, because we know full well that Tom Elliott was probably sometimes our best head of the ball defensively and offensively in our own area, wasn't he? So you have to think we have lost a bit of height. Liam Trotter's no shrinking violet. He's a 6'2", 6'3". Will Nightingale's got a height. Paul Robinson. The goalkeeper's a fair size as well. So probably, of course, you're looking. If you're looking defensively, Andy Bartram, George Frankham, Kwesi Appiah. Yeah, they're 5'10", 11 if I'm being generous. So you could potentially say yes, we have lost a bit of height, but I don't think that was a problem on Tuesday night. Bayo we just didn't deal with. We didn't, the idea of Bayo, we've worked with so many times. You work off the scraps with Bayo. You don't try and win the headers because you don't win them. But we sort of forgot that a little bit. What
about in terms of centre forward and bigger centre forward and more of a target man approach? Are we going to need one as the season progresses if we get we can pretty much guarantee a first round FA Cup tie away at Eastleigh this season. And we all know what their pitch is like. But somebody that was going to allow us to go a little bit more direct. You say we're playing this passing style now, moving the ball from the centre halves through midfield. Are we going to need someone up there that we could just knock it long to in the same way we used to do with Akinfenwa?
I don't see how you can play without having that option. Jayden Antwi is a lump, but he's not going to play 20, 30 games this season. He's going to probably get appearances off the bench, cup games, those sort of things. I'm not surprised to hear us linked with rumours, so be it, linked with Michael Smith and Pompey, because that's the player that probably we do need. Wickham on Tuesday night did what I was thinking would cause us problems. When they pressed high, we didn't shift the ball enough. We then went into players who didn't really want it. Will Nightingale's great with his feet, but when you're under pressure, sometimes you will go long. You'll knock an aimless ball long, and no disrespect to Andy Bartram, Kwesi Appiah and Cody McDonald, but I don't fancy them definitely against Wickham centre-halves, and some other centre-halves we have. So we have to have a different way of playing if we get found out. So I'm not surprised to see that we're linked with a certain type of player like Michael Smith if he was available.
But with all that said, just how good was the football we played against Burton on Friday?
Yeah, do you know what? I think we're in for a treat this season for the home games. Pitch is like a carpet. I think that's all I can describe it as. It does look like a Premiership pitch. Well looked after. We were there recording the Facebook Live stuff after Burton Albion, and within 5 minutes of the game finishing, there was 3 lawnmowers out there from Chelsea staff. Chelsea kitted out staff. That pitch is going to be looked after all season because Chelsea, from what I understand, are maintaining it, and that's good for us. So the football's great. Little triangles, like I say, people coming in, linking off the centre halves, Andy Bartram pushing forward. I think we're in for a treat. The flip side, we all know, is that is that going to benefit the good teams this league? Well, yeah, of course it is. But ultimately, if that's our home ground and we are going to get used to playing on that type of pitch with a style that suits our players, then I would hope we'll win a fair proportion of the games at home and definitely our 6-pointers around us.
Talking about the best teams and whether it will suit them or not, I'm sure it will suit the first visitors to Kingsmeadow this season, in a competitive game anyway. Brentford, who will be playing in the League Cup. Now, we do have a winner in our bid to discover what to call this season's League Cup competition. As you know, we were struggling to work out how to pronounce the competition's name because of a new sponsor, and after a Twitter poll we were left with only two choices, either the Milk Cup or Alexa Bliss. I can reveal, perhaps exclusively, unless you were waiting to see the result of this on Twitter, and if you were, great, but okay, whatever floats your boat. We can reveal that it will be called, on the 9 Years podcast this season, the Milk Cup, as it defeated Alexa Bliss with a 62 to 38% split of the vote. So this season we will be playing Brentford in the Milk Cup. It is a shame. I'd certainly rather be playing in Alexa Bliss. But never mind.
You're listening to these fine gentlemen and their new song, One Horse Town. Available now on iTunes and Spotify.
Jake Reeves, you join us fresh from being named man of the match for Bradford's pre-season game with Sunderland. What was it like testing yourself against championship opposition?
Don't get me wrong, I got some very high quality players in that side, just being relegated from the Prem. Obviously, one of the ones playing in midfield that I've obviously watched over the years, obviously Lee Cattermole. And true to form, I've got a bruise from him, which is what normally happens from him. But obviously, a very high standard team, and it was obviously nice to test myself against a high quality opposition. And I think I've done all right. Obviously, got the man of the match, so yeah, I think I've done all right.
And how do you feel you've settled in at Bradford now? You've been there 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, I feel quite settled, to be honest. Everyone at the club and players were very welcoming, to be fair. And there's no bad eggs or anything. Everyone's been just cracking on with pre-season, and we've had a laugh. Obviously done the initiation, got that out of the way. Yeah, I feel quite settled at the minute.
Now, we saw your initiation. Was it Build Me Up Buttercup?
It certainly was. It's an absolute classic.
Do you know what? I was impressed with your voice, to be honest with you.
Do you know what? I was disappointed. I could have gone better.
A bit like a vote thing then, where did all the new players have to sing and then a winner was decided, like?
Yeah, all the new lads sung out on our pre-season tour in Austria. Mm-hmm. And the one who got the most votes had to sing again. And the one who had to sing again was our old mate Dom Napoleon.
What did he sing?
Do you know what? Couldn't even remember.
Say anything really embarrassing, like Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Oh, that would have been good, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Maybe I'll go for that next time.
So, Jay, was that the same song you sung in initiation for Wimbledon then, was it?
It's the song I've sung for the past 3 clubs. Wimbledon, Swindon and Bradford. Actually, Wimbledon twice. I sung that when I come on loan at 19. So I thought I'd do another rendition of it. I kind of change it up every time I do it. When I was at Swindon, I sang it in a woman's voice. I thought I'd go a little bit more normal for this one.
Whereabouts in Austria were you exactly?
Oh, mate, you're asking the wrong person. You know? I know it was in the middle of nowhere.
Your move to Bradford, well, you said it was about 2-3 weeks ago now, seems longer. But anyway, when did you first hear of their interest, and did you immediately think you wanted to go, or did you need a bit of convincing?
Well, if I'm honest, I heard about their first bit of interest the last pre-season before our first year in League One.
Okay.
They apparently had put a bid in, and the bid wasn't enough to turn the heads of the gaffer or anyone at the club, and the gaffer had just turned it down. And the gaffer was quite honest with me and just told me that when we was on our pre-season tour in Cardiff last summer.
Okay.
So we sort of knew that they were admirers or looking out, and then obviously thought nothing of it. And then when we come back in for pre-season, obviously with Wimbledon, then obviously that first week there was rumours and conversations going back and forth. Was what we heard of. Originally, I just thought of I was quite settled in staying at Wimbledon, keeping my head down for another year. And yeah, like I said, just conversations went back and forth really.
And then did you go up there and have a look round before you?
Yeah. Once everything had been agreed from club to club, and obviously personal terms, I was quite honest with the gaffer, Ardley, and just said, look, I'll go up there over the weekend and I'll meet them. Obviously, if I don't feel it's right, then obviously I won't sign. But if I do sign, I'll give you a phone call beforehand and let you know. And I stay true to my word, and the gaffer stayed true to his. I gave him a call after I'd met him and said, look, I think I'm going to sign. And he just he gave me his best wishes, to be honest.
So it's quite an interesting move, isn't it? Because obviously a lot of your career has been based in London and South, obviously Swindon and so forth like that. Was there any sort of thoughts about moving away? Because obviously you're quite a family man. Was there any thoughts about moving away up north?
Oh yeah, massively. That was one of the biggest reasons at the start of the conversations where I wasn't massively thinking about moving, to be honest. It's not an easy thing to do, don't get me wrong. But obviously I'll come up here and it's actually all right. Luckily enough, my parents have just left today, actually. My parents and my little brother, they've come up for the weekend and we've gone out for a couple of meals the last couple of days, so that was nice. I've got my mates coming up on the midweek because we've got a pre-season game against Newcastle, so we can come watch that and stay over for a couple of nights. But yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it's a long journey, It's 3.5 hour drive from here to where I'm from. So it's never easy, but like I said before, having Don Poling up, it's helped a little bit because obviously you know someone, plus he knows the area, so it does make you settle a little bit quicker.
And Bradford, I'm guessing the aim is promotion. Lost in the playoffs 2 years in a row now.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I think everyone from the outside can see that's what the club want to do anyway. Like I said, it's a very big club, It's a club that sold like 19,000 season tickets already for the coming season, and they've been unfortunate for the last couple of years, falling short of the last hurdle, if you like. So obviously, yeah, I mean, come on, every club wants to get promoted, and obviously they've got a real chance.
So going from Wimbledon, who's, say ambition, but normally realistically is staying in League One, trying to maybe move into mid-table or the playoffs. Now going into a team that's realistically, you say 19,000 season holders, a massive ground, expectation. Has Stuart McCall tried to really get, because there's quite a lot of new players that have come in this season, and had a conversation about that expectation, how it could weigh on your shoulders?
No, we've not actually had a conversation about expectation. We as players already know that there's a lot of expectation around the club. The club want to get promoted. Like we said, they've just fallen short the last couple of years. The gaffer, it's not come from the gaffer. I just think as players, you know that. And if you're a player that's not going to enjoy that or not going to thrive off playing in front of a big crowd every week, playing in a high pressure situation, which don't get me wrong, it's a good pressure situation because you want to be, as a player, you want to be fighting for titles, you want to be fighting for promotions. So if you're a player that can't live up to that or handle that pressure during game time, then I think you'll get found out very quickly.
And have you had a look at when the games against Wimbledon are this season?
Well, funny enough, one of them, I looked, obviously I was a Wimbledon player at the time. As players, you normally check the first game of the season, Christmas fixtures, and the last game of the season.
Of
obviously,
course.
Bradford, I think it's the 23rd, back at Wimbledon.
It is, yeah. So nice little Christmas present.
Very nice little Christmas present. It was like coming home.
I'm guessing it's changed a hell of a lot since you were first with us. So you came for us for 5 games. What would have been 2012, wasn't it?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, it would have been about that year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you came for us for a very short spell. You talked about pressure of trying to get promoted with Bradford this season. Did you feel in that short spell with us the pressure of us trying to survive in League Two at the time in what was our toughest season?
Oh, of course, definitely. I mean, the plan wasn't to leave after 5 games. That was taken out of mine and Neil Ardley's control. That was based on the contract that we'd signed. And my parent club at the time and manager Uwe Rosler decided to recall me back because he had a couple of injuries. So, unfortunately, the plan didn't work out. And the idea was to be there for the whole season. But obviously, things don't go to plan, unfortunately. And my parent club had to take me back. But yeah, definitely, those 5 games were a real big learning curve for myself in my career, and playing under not a nice pressure. It's easy playing on good pressure when you're winning games and you're on top and you're on form and everyone's getting on the ball, everyone's scoring goals, whatever. But when you're playing in a situation like that where the club is literally facing relegation from the Football League, that's proper pressure. That's all of a sudden, are you man enough to handle it? And obviously the squad at the time, the gaffer done really well, and they proved to get themselves out of a sticky situation.
And at the time, I'm assuming Brentford said no to you playing in the FA Cup for us because we had a little bit of a run that year. Of course, playing Milton Keynes, which of course you weren't involved in.
No, no. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I wanted to play in. I can't remember who Brentford played. But they played someone, and if they'd have lost, I think they were playing midweek game, and our game was on the Saturday against Milton Keynes. And then if they'd have lost, I'd have been able to play, but they won, and they didn't allow me to play. And unfortunately, that ended up being my last day. I went and trained with the boys, and then obviously said to the gaffer, well, this is like last day, I'm going to have to go back. And then that was kind of it until the return.
So you didn't even get to travel up with us on that day then? So
No, I didn't even get to travel up.
Okay,
No.
So your first experience of that particular fixture then would have been...
In the league. That would have been my first MK
Oh, wow,
game.
okay. All right, so the 1-0 defeat up at theirs last season, and then, of course, what is a legendary fixture when we beat them at Kings Meadow. I'm guessing there's an immense source of pride for yourself having scored against them.
Oh, 100%. Oh, of course, yeah. Playing for, I don't know what it's like being a player for Milton Keynes playing against AFC. I don't know whether they get the same, I don't know if they understand how much it means to the fans or whether it means anything to their fans or anything. But obviously playing for AFC, you understand exactly the story that's gone on behind the scenes beforehand. You understand the pride and the passion that the fans have, particularly, not just that game, don't get me wrong, they have it every game, I think they're brilliant, but that game is, there was a special atmosphere that game when we played them at Argath, and obviously scoring in that game, and obviously basically my best mate scoring in that game as well, it was quite special.
Because what are your thoughts going into the game? Because obviously that atmosphere, that obviously Liverpool game we had, and we spoke to James Shea last week, and he said two best atmosphere was the Liverpool game, home game, and the Milton Keynes game.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you, but that Milton Keynes game, I got in there early, and I just sensed there was a issue of anticipation. But I think we as a club, we're quite a friendly club, and we're a fan zone club.
Yeah.
But it was quite a hostile evening that night, wasn't it?
Oh, of course. Well, don't get me wrong, the fans are a very family-orientated club. And there's, unfortunately, in football, there's certain clubs that are just not ever going to get on well with each other. There's always that little bit of something. And obviously, especially for AFC Wimbledon, they have every right to be angry with that fixture. And you could sense it walking into the ground, the anticipation of obviously the club wanting to really win this game. And I think that did spill out. The manager didn't even need to get us pumped before that game. He didn't need to give us a big talk to. He knew he could see it in us before the game that we knew exactly what we had to go and do. And that actually went onto the pitch and spilled out to the players.
And of course, you might say Lyle scored the second goal. So I suppose, obviously, I know you and Lyle are good mates, so are very good mates. So I suppose that really made the evening for you both, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. Obviously, Lyle scores most weeks. It's this is what he's paid to do. So, but obviously the fact that I could get in there and chip in with one was it was just fitting that it had to be that game. You could have scored any other week, had a shot any other week, but it just fitting that it kind of happened that game.
And you had no real chance to do a celebration either, did you, really? Because you were sort of mobbed. I suppose if you're not scoring goals regularly, have you ever had a celebration worked out?
To be honest, I'm not a massive celebration kind of guy. I mean, obviously there's not been too many to reel off the list in the professional game, unfortunately. But I mean, if you have ever seen me score a goal before, which you'd be very lucky to have, there's never a celebration. It's sort of just okay, and then just walk off.
Whereas this time you got mobbed, literally, before you could even
This time, as I said, you could see the passion from the fans and the players. It meant a lot to everyone.
Many of our fans thought that game defined our season last year. What did you make of the season as a whole? How would you evaluate it? Obviously, going into it, as fans, we'd have been delighted with fifth from bottom.
Of course.
And inside the club, I know, and Neil, of course, sets such high standards that he was never going to accept that, really. He would always expect more of himself and of the players. Were you happy in the end with how well we did across the whole year?
Well, before I go into the details of that, I'd say last season, if you're looking at it from the outside in, what a massive achievement AFC Wimbledon achieved to be in League One from where they started. And then let's be honest, we didn't really turn up for the last 6 games of the season. To be safe with the last 6 games to go, or 7, I think it was safe with 7 to go, and we lost the first 4, was an absolute massive achievement. It just shows you how well and how far the club has come. On a personal level as a player, it was a very frustrating season. Like I said at the start, we didn't really turn up. Well, to be honest, it wasn't the fact we didn't turn up. Things just didn't click as early as we'd expected. We actually played some really good football at the start of the season. Just didn't grind out results and didn't win games. And then all of a sudden we changed it, tinkered it a little bit, and then we started to do really well. And I think we were 5th at one point, and we were all quite optimistic that we could try and maintain that. Obviously things didn't work out and we didn't eventually do that. But yeah, like I said, it was a very frustrating season for the players. It was an odd one. It was an odd one. We weren't happy with finishing where we finished as players.
How do you find from League 2 to League 1? Personally, did you find any... What was the main differences in between the levels, did you find?
I find the even if you just look at last season, the stature of clubs that were in that league. And same again this season. I mean, like I said, this season you got like Blackburn in there all of a sudden. You're not going to Accrington Stanley away all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You're going to Blackburn away. You're going to the likes of Millwall away, Charlton away. You're going to Sheffield United, who was in our league last year. You're going to some really big clubs, and you're going to some places that can pay people a lot of money. And there's a lot of quality in the league. There's a lot of players that have played higher that have come and play in League One because it's a good league. That was the main thing for me. I think League Two was a bit more rushed, very fast-paced game. Probably good for the fans to watch because it's probably more end-to-end. But then League One, you got more teams that try and control the game with the football on the floor. So I'd say the quality definitely does rise a little bit.
And did you find with early on our away form was better than our home form?
Yeah.
So did you find sometimes maybe the expectation of the big clubs? You're going to have the reverse this year because you're going to be at Bradford.
Yeah.
Did you find sometimes going to the big club and Wimbledon not being the big sort of boys and that maybe sometimes that we had a better, not an advantage, but we could literally go down unnoticed and maybe play our game?
It definitely helps us, yeah. I think for the last 2 years we've been quite good at that. When we went the season, obviously we went up. I thought we were quite good at that towards the end. And I think, I can't remember what it was. It was like a 15-game unbeaten run.
Yeah.
Ended up getting us into the playoffs, and we played some tough games away. They weren't easy games. And even last year, like Scunthorpe away at the time, I think they were in the top 4 when we played them. And the week before we played Bolton, and we did really well. And we seemed to play better. Maybe it's because there's no pressure on us, like you said, and the bigger clubs have got expectations, especially at that time of the year, to really pick up points. And obviously the type of club that we were at Wimbledon, like animals, you just go out there and play your hearts out.
I suppose we can't really go to the conversation without talking about the playoffs and that amazing run that we did to get to Wembley. Going back now, how do you remember the Accrington Stanley game, your messy run and stuff like that?
No, of course I do. Can't forget it, chaps.
Do you wish sometimes, though, that you had scored that goal when you went through? Obviously, Lyle took the credit. But
of course.
Let's be fair, your messy run was just outstanding.
And everyone kept talking about Lyle. Tell him to do one. Get him on the phone. Tell him to do one. No, it was obviously. Well, I mean, I remember the whole season. It was a very special season, not just for me personally, but for the club, for the fans, everyone who played that year, everyone who was a staff member, anyone who watched a glimpse of Wimbledon that year. It was a very special year. Obviously, we kind of went through a little tough period. I remember through the middle, and we were sort of going, I think we're going to struggle to get the playoffs. And it was obviously that York game where I scored the goal that kind of set us on again. And all of a sudden, I think that's where our run sort of started to pick up. So everything from there was just special. And like you said, doing the run at Accrington, getting through, chipping one over someone, nutmegging the other one, and then keeper bloody saved it, didn't he? Lyle, true to form, is a good striker, and what he does, he's up with play and he puts in the back of the net. But no, I couldn't be happier for the lad.
The York game you mentioned, where you scored what was voted the 9 Years podcast goal of the season for that year.
I've still got the trophy.
I'm very glad to hear it. It was, as you say, an important moment in our playoff chase that season. It was one of two, I think, pivotal moments for us that year. The first one, and we spoke to Adebayo Aziz about this time last year, and he referenced this as being the key one, was the defeat at home to Stevenage, when you then went for the players' Christmas party afterwards in Manchester. Yeah. He said that was the moment when, as a squad, you guys came together and thought perhaps at that time things weren't going the way they should have been, and it really brought you together. And after that...
massively.
What sort of things were said up in Manchester? Was it a big heart-to-heart thing, or was it just a case of we're all out together and it's just a bonding experience?
I'll be honest with you, people from the outside in looking at football clubs going on Christmas dues, they don't quite understand what it's for, or is it just for the players' enjoyment? Is it, it's a football tradition. Every club does this from probably from the start of football. It's one of those things, it can bring a team together, and with us it certainly did. We were having a tough time, like you said. Obviously, that game, probably bad timing that we went on the Christmas do, but obviously, if you look at it on the grand scheme of things, it was obviously the best timing, because obviously the fans weren't happy with us. But it's just one of those things, and like I said, you have a whole squad together, especially when you go up north. Everyone's there for 2 days. Yeah, you are having a drink, you are on the, as they call it, on the piss, on the laugh. But it really did bring us together, because if anything, I don't think we spoke about football. I think it was better that we let it lie, and we didn't really talk about it. Obviously, we knew we'd had a bit of a torrid that game. We were absolutely useless, and we'd not been massively great up until that point anyway. And we had some big characters in that squad, real big characters, and we just went out, we had a laugh, and it really brought us together. We had a lot of stories to chat about when we come back, to laugh about, and it kind of took the edge off. It kind of took the pressure off the football, and we just sort of went out and played our stuff. And obviously where it brought us all together, from then on, all of a sudden you're looking around at your teammates with confidence. You want to run for that person. If that person messes up, you're there to help him out. Whereas before that, I don't think we really had that. And after that, like I said, everyone was running for each other. You'd go the extra mile for your teammate. And I think it really brought us together.
And it takes, as you say, the pressure off there. And definitely I think one of the advantages we had in that run-in after Christmas, going into the playoffs and then going to Wembley, was that the expectation wasn't quite there for us. You had Portsmouth and Plymouth in the playoffs who were favoured to go up pretty much every season. You had Accrington that had fallen out of the automatic places very late on the final day of the season. And we could just maybe be a little bit more relaxed.
Oh, of course. I mean, I think it happens pretty much nearly every season that a team will come from nowhere and creep into the playoffs and normally do very well. Whether they go up or not is a different matter, but they normally do very well because you have that momentum, especially from us. You look at all the clubs that was in the playoffs, we're just looking around going, we're actually really happy to be here. Whereas I think the clubs that are in the playoffs playing against us or playing against other teams were kind of disappointed they were in there and probably thought that they should have gone up automatic. So I think straight away, when we turned up to games like Accrington, their body language, their mannerisms, everything was very negative. And obviously for us, we were happy to be there. I think we were the only club probably happy to be there at the time.
And if you remember Accrington as well, had they not had a goal, I say disallowed, had the referee not blown his half-time whistle quite so early when we played them at Kings Meadow, they might have been 2 points better off and never have made the playoffs.
It's ironic, isn't it?
It's the way it goes, isn't it?
What a shame.
Yeah, gutted for them, really, yeah. Really,
good for us.
So talk about Accrington Stanley then. So when we drew them, they just had a whole season where they thought it would be all flash promotion. Did the players simply think that was probably the best one they could have got because they were literally a wounded animal, weren't they?
Oh, they were very good that year. They were very good. They were very good. But yeah, to be honest with you, throughout the whole playoff, we didn't fear anyone. We never. I'll be honest with you. When we drew Accrington Stanley for the semi-finals, all we spoke about was Wembley. We kind of discarded Accrington and said, well, we're going to win this game anyway.
So a real big confidence, wasn't it?
That could sound arrogant or cocky or however you want to put it, but it weren't arrogance, it weren't cockiness. It was just complete confidence in each other. We were just on such a high, on such a good run. You know, training was easy. The gaffer set a session and we'd set our own standards and we'd go out there and do the job. We knew exactly how we were playing. We knew exactly how everyone was playing in the team. You know our strengths. We knew our weaknesses. We knew where to help each other out. We were just so confident that we weren't going to lose. We just had we just won't lay down sort of attitude. And like I said, as soon as we qualified to get into the playoffs, we didn't care who we got. All we spoke about was Wembley, playing at Wembley, winning at Wembley, and we weren't far wrong.
And that was even tested, wasn't it? So 2-0 down at Accrington Stanley, they score a screamer, don't they, to go 2-0 up.
Yeah, good goal.
Ever worried? Because obviously you're right. In that team, you had so many leaders, didn't we? You had Darius, you had Paul Robinson. And then even off the bench, 2-0 down, we brought on the big man player. Was that a major work? Because I think sometimes with Bayo played more of a substitute role in that season.
Yeah.
Like, if you're ever going to have a super sub of that, he chipped in. He was immense for us, wasn't he? The header and that. Was that always good to know you got Bayo on the bench?
Oh, 100%. You have a plan B, literally B. You have a plan B, literally coming off the bench, and you know with him, it doesn't matter what style of football you play. If you can get the ball anywhere near him in the box, any defence in this country is going to struggle. I don't care who's up against him; they're going to struggle. He's not going to let them have an easy run. And I just think, same again, what I said before. I think it was just fitting that he done so well. Obviously not getting a contract at the end of the year and moving on, but everything for leaving as a bit of a club legend, if you like. Scoring that goal, then scoring at Wembley, and like you said, we have such big characters in that team. When we went down, obviously to the screamer, same thing. I just went and got the ball out of the back of the net and walked back to the centre kick and went, "All right, come on, let's go again." It was just weird. It was just one of them things. Who cares? It's like we could have crumbled. Lose.
Well, we could have crumbled. I must admit that night. I don't know about you, but obviously you're playing, so you can influence it. But at 2-0, I couldn't watch it because it's like your whole season.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those. It was one of those seasons from the Christmas do on where things just went well for us and just worked. And that sort of happens in a club's history and era. Like I said, really giving the penalty away early on and them scoring. And they were buzzing. They thought, you could see it in their face. They thought, this is done. Little Wimbledon's done now. But it was just never the case. We just keep coming back. And then obviously he scores a screamer. Same thing again. We always knew we only needed one because obviously Tom Beer scored the goal in the first leg. We've only got to get one chance. All of a sudden the big man pops up and the game completely changes. We start getting into his feet now and we start running the show. They start looking jaded and tired because they're mentally weak for that season, obviously missing out on the last game, and they think they've done it with the 2 goals, and then we get one back and you could just see they've completely gone. They literally went to pieces, and we just got even stronger.
So, turning around, going to Wembley now, so we've become obviously Plymouth big club. How do you enjoy the build-up? Because us Wimbledon fans, we were quite amazed. You know, we were like 20,000 plus fans, still outnumbered by Plymouth. But what was the build-up like? Because I know we went early, didn't we, to the ground to get ourselves accustomed.
Yeah, I think was a very good idea from the gaffer. I think it was
they didn't do it, did they? Plymouth, I believe, turned up on the day, didn't they?
I think Plymouth pretty much turned up on the day. They all had their suits on that they'd all done, the typical cup final sort of attire. We just turned up in tracksuits and just went out and did our job.
What was it like? We are a small club in terms of fan-zone club. Must have been quite mad to see 20,000 fans behind that goal.
No, it was fantastic. It was just a sea of blue and yellow. It was unbelievable to see how many people had turned out. Any neutral that was around the area or in London was obviously supporting us. Anyone who's been involved in football that was there on the day was all supporting us because they know the story of the club.
I was going to say, tactically-wise, on the game, it looked to me like it was literally to try and stop them playing. Not stop them playing, but they're key playmakers. So you have people like Wild and stuff like that. Was that the key to stop them playing, put an extra body in midfield?
Well, we played 4-4-2 all that season. We played it at their gaff and we played them in the league and we won 2-1. And we played it again in the cup final, but the gaffer did change it slightly. We played, obviously, Connor Smith out on the right, but more tucked in, and we sort of nullified their strengths, really, with Carey, obviously, playing off the striker. Me and Bully, I think, done quite a decent job on him. He didn't really have too many sniffs, apart from a long shot early on and a free kick in the second half. Wilder, I don't really think he managed to outrun Basil game, especially with Connor tucking in a little bit and helping him out. And then after that, no one else, they didn't really pose too much of a threat, I didn't think, on the day. I think, if I'm being honest, I think it was quite a comfortable cup final. Don't know how it felt for the fans, but as players, it kind of felt comfortable, especially second half.
I think it's one of those where, as a fan, your rational brain is watching the game thinking, this is going according to plan, this is exactly what we want to be seeing, and it seems to be going our way. But in the back of your head, you're always thinking, it only takes a second for a player to pick up a ball on the hole, you know what I mean, and stick it in the top corner.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think... yeah, like I said, it's just thinking about it now. Anything I can remember from it, and even if I watched it back now, I think I'd say the same thing. Is I think we kind of controlled that game. Out of all the games where we've struggled in the season, like the Accrington one where we've gone 2-0 down and stuff like that, that game just seemed to go, as you said, according to plan. Anything we would have wanted, it kind of happened.
And I think, I'm not just saying just because you're on a podcast, but I think the running the legs in the midfield, I think in the end done it. Your box to box. Danny Borman, let's be honest, he was still making the run on the 89th minute to get into the penalty area when it was 1-0 to get the penalty and stuff like that. But I think in the end it was just the legs on that, wasn't it?
Oh,
again, your good mate Lyle scored.
Of course he did. It was there was, as I said, there was a lot of things that were just fitting that season that just happened. Like with Akinfenwa, with obviously the way we kept going like down goals and then coming back from the dead, as the club does every single time it ever happens to them. And that was another one. I was in the gym with Lyle about 4 days beforehand, and I can't remember what we were talking about. We were talking about something, just sitting in the jacuzzi, and I said, "Don't worry, you will score at Wembley, and we will go up." And he said, "Do you reckon?" I went, 100%. You will. I think it was because he'd never scored there or he'd never played there, and I said, "Don't worry, you will score there. You will score there, and we'll go up." And obviously, it happened, and we still laugh about it now.
Your first reaction at the final whistle that day, I think, also speaks volumes for yourself as a player. Was to console a few of the Plymouth players that were absolutely broken.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, one of them being my old roomie from when I was from the start when I first signed. Obviously, Craig Tanner. He was my roommate at Wimbledon when he signed for the 6 months. That we were both there for that season. It's a weird one. You don't obviously. I'd never played there before. I've been to Wembley a couple of times with Brentford, but obviously never played. It's a weird one. You don't understand how your feelings or your emotions are going to make you, because I do quite well as a player to keep my emotions out of football, if I'm honest. I don't get too overexcited if we win. When we score a goal, I don't really celebrate. I just get back to my position, we do our job, we go again, celebrate at the end of the year sort of thing. And that game, it was a difficult one. It just kind of took over me, and I could just see these players, they've worked so hard, because I know how hard I've worked to get there. And to see them crushed was a little bit emotional, so I thought I'd go and give them, a bit of a cuddle for Craig and, wish them all the best and say, don't worry, you can go again. And obviously they did the season after anyway, but yeah, it was a weird feeling.
And I think it was an iconic picture as well, because I remember seeing it, and it was actually like, the picture of Barrow with the cup and all that sort of thing, but it was actually iconic, because I very much said to a lot of my friends that you don't want to go to Wembley and lose, because no one remembers the losers.
No.
But actually, that sort of summed up really the team, really. Do you know what I mean? It was looking out for someone else, and yeah, I thought it was an iconic picture. I just think it's, I think because obviously everyone was going to celebrate, yet your first thing was to actually go and sell a few of water, a teammate. So I just thought it was a brilliant picture.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it. A lot of people I know have got the photo, and they've always asked me about why would you do that? Why would you not? We've all played in cup finals when we're kids and stuff, and you win and you go mental, didn't you? But I don't know, because it was something that meant so much, and you've been working up to this point. It was like you said, you don't want to go to Wembley and lose. You don't want to work that hard and get to the best stage possibly on the planet and lose. And it was just one of those things to see these players absolutely crumble, and I couldn't just help but feel how I would feel. So I had to go, and it's horrible if it feels like someone's gloating a little bit, so I thought I'd be the one to go round and make sure they didn't realise that's not what we're about at Wimbledon. Do you know what I mean?
All right, we've got a new feature for you now, Jake. We call it Play With, Sleep With, Avoid. I'm going to give you 3 names. I'd just like you to tell me which player you'd most like to be in the same team with, which you'd like to be your roommate on away trips, and who you'd stay well away from.
Okay, so we've got avoid, we've got hotel, and be a teammate with. Gotcha.
Yep, so we've got Andy Barcham.
Yeah.
Danny Bullman.
Yeah.
And George Frankham.
The chaps, you've stung me. You've picked an absolute torrid 3 for me. So you've got my midfield dad, and you've got 2 of my car school members. That, by the way, I'm still in the car school group at Wimbledon.
Oh, wow.
Chaps. They've not kicked me out yet.
They might do after this.
They could possibly do. Well, to share with has to be Danny Bullman, because that is who I shared with for 2 years anyway.
Okay.
And he's my dad. Avoid playing the same team with. Chat.
I can't believe it's so horrible, Nick.
That's horrible. That you know this as well.
That's entertainment.
I'm going to have to go. Actually, I'm going to change my answer completely here.
Go on.
I'm going to go avoid Danny Bullman.
Yeah.
Because he can be a bad influence on me on the weekend.
All right.
So there's my reasoning behind it. Still major love. I'm going to go with share with George Frankham, because we can have a laugh, but he can also be quite placid and quite chilled out. And I'm going to go with teammate Andy Barcham, because he's absolutely hilarious, and in a team you'd always want to have a player like Andy Barcham in there because of what he can do. He can always change a game. That's my answer.
Perfect. Perfect. And then one more, a few quick fire questions. I'm going to throw some either or questions at you. It's just the first answer that comes into your head, if that's all right.
Cool, here we go. Good luck.
Okay, Mayweather or McGregor?
McGregor.
Jake Gyllenhaal or Jake Bugg?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Bantams or Batman?
Bantams.
Frozen peas or mushy peas?
Mushy.
Cricket or tennis?
Cricket.
Alice Band or Alice Bandukravi?
What the hell is that? Alice Band.
Kiss FM or Radio X?
Kiss FM.
Alexa Bliss or Paige?
I don't know who they are, Paige.
And finally, when you're making a cup of tea, do you go bag first or milk first?
Bag.
Good man.
All day long.
James Shea went milk first.
No.
Yeah.
He never.
What's that about?
What's that about? He's a proper English boy as well. He don't even know how to make a cup of tea.
Honestly, people who put milk first, I don't know. There's something wrong.
I'm going to give him a text. I'm going to have to delete his number after that. That's like blasphemy in my house.
Trust me, it is in mine as well, so...
You can taste the difference, can't you?
Yeah. It has to be...
Straight away.
It has to be bag first. No, it has to be bag first.
What is that about?
Apparently, that was what sealed it for Neil deciding to let James go this season, was when he found out he goes milk first.
Well, now I understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I understand it. No, I thought you'd get a contract, but now I can completely understand it. He obviously made the gaffer a cup of tea once, and he knew.
He knew. It's not how it's done.
Just quickly, obviously, very quickly before we go, just looking from afar now, how have you viewed Wimbledon's signings since... obviously, there was a few before you left, but how have you viewed the signings since you've gone? Obviously, no one can, and I say this very honestly, no one can replace the energy that you had in the midfield and stuff. But what's your big thoughts on the signings that Neil's brought in since?
Do you know what? I think the gaffer's done really well. I've got to give him massive credit for that. I think he's done very well. So even before I left, I think Cody's an established striker. I think he's... How many goals is he on now? 3 out of 2?
Yeah, in pre-season.
It's 3 out of 2. Obviously, I keep up to date with it, of course.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and he's always going to score goals. Quezzy obviously wasn't there when I was there, but what I've been told, he looks very sharp and he looks like a lad who knows where the back of the net is. So, same again. Hopefully he can prove his worth. Obviously, Deji, another one of my friends, which I was very disappointed to be leaving because we were actually really good pals. And when he come back, I was absolutely buzzing. He was there. He was going to be my roommate for the year. great player. Great player. Don't really know what happened. Don't really know what happened with him at Gillingham too much. I think he had a couple of injuries and it kind of stunted him a little bit. But you know what you're going to get with Deji. He's a great player. Obviously, the two new signings. Obviously, since I've left, I think the gaffer's done very well in the midfield department. To be honest, I mean, you could all of a sudden we go back to the days when it was just me and Bully, and you pretty much just had me and Bully. If one of us got injured, you bring in George Frank, who's a right winger, into the midfield. All of a sudden, the gaffer's got Dino. He's got Alfie Egan. He's got a young lad coming through the ranks who, by the way, is a very, very accomplished footballer, Anthony Hartigan. He's a very good player. He'll be a very good lad in a couple of years. Give him some time. He'll do very well for the club. Then you've obviously got Soares. You've got Jimmy Abdu. Everyone knows what Jimmy Abdu's about. Do you know what I mean? He can run all day. He's going to win the ball. He's going to play it simple. He's a very good signing. He's obviously got the experience at this level as well, and he knows how to get out of a promotion challenge. And obviously you've just signed Liam Trotto, who actually is a very good footballer. Very, very big lad as well. Big posing character. And like I said, he's very comfortable on the ball. So I think the gaffer's done really well.
And you were saying about Andy Hartigan. I watched probably about 10, 11 games with him last season, and I just thought it was immense. And he trained with you guys because he's a very quiet lad. So obviously you've come up through the ranks through Brentford and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's also going to have a little bit of pressure on him now because already in 2 games people are going, wow, where's this player come from?
Yeah,
what would your advice be to him?
Well, I spoke to him before I left. He trained with us a couple of times this pre-season, and you could tell the lad's got a bit, you know. He's one of them. He's quite a tall boy as well for his age.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, when he fills out into, like, you know, more of a man, you know, muscle-wise and stuff like that, and he starts playing against men week in, week out and getting used to the physicalities of the league, his football ability will be no question. He's a very good player. You can tell that just through training. Obviously, I'd never really seen him play before. I've heard about him, don't get me wrong, because obviously Paul, who's his coach, I'm assuming he's still his coach if he's not with the first team all the time now, was telling me about him anyway. But yeah, I think it'd be quality. The only advice I'd give him is listen to obviously the older pros that are there. He's quite lucky now that he's got Jimmy Abdu and Liam Trotto, who have both been there and done it and had very good careers. So you can learn off them immensely. I was quite fortunate. I learned off a Brentford legend, Kevin O'Connor, who played there the whole of his career and made about 600 appearances. And
massive legend, yeah.
Absolute legend, and what a top bloke he was. And then also learnt off David Hunt, who's a very accomplished footballer, very good technically, and then obviously Jonathan Douglas came in, who's an absolute legend. So I got to learn off quite a good pros. And the only thing I'd say to him is make sure you use their knowledge as much as you can. If you have a question to ask them. You know, don't be shy to ask them because they're all there to help you out anyway.
Jake, thank you very much for your time.
Not a problem.
All the best for this season with Bradford. We'll see you at Kingsmeadow, I'm sure, just before Christmas. I guess when you come down for that, I don't know how it's going to work with your Christmas schedule with Bradford, but can you not stay down here over the Christmas time? Would you have to go back up afterwards, or is that too early?
No, it just depends on what the schedule would be for the coming days after that, really. I think the gaffer's quite relaxed with things like that. I think he would let us stay down and stuff like that, so I don't see it as a problem as long as we haven't got training within the next 2 days or whatever.
Cheers, Jake.
Nice one. Thank you, chaps, and all the best for the season.
So, as we all know, Poley on Go is no longer with us. However, we do have a brand new game, Up Higher or Lower. But it is again with deep sorrow and regret that we have had to suspend Up Higher or Lower for the time being, following an investigation by the podcast regulator Offpod, who believe we are breaching trade descriptions by insinuating that the game is in any way entertaining. It's as if last week was the first time they have ever listened to the show, but never mind. We have a new game. Ready for this, Stu?
Go for it.
It's time for Abdu Are You?
Wow.
So this is a totally brand new game, so I'm going to have to talk you through it, okay, because it's tricky. I'm going to give you 3 clues, and you just have to tell me which current or former Wimbledon player I am describing. Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, last time when you started going on about last year's game, I thought that was going to be easy, but look how quickly I fell flat on my face on that one.
This is true. The only difference, well, aside from the fact you're guessing a person instead of a stadium this time, is that I'm going to take your answers during the quiz, but I'm only going to reveal it at the end. So you'll only know if you're correct after all 3 clues have been given. If you still haven't got it, there is a bonus anagram clue to come.
Well, we all know that's going to fail, don't we?
Well, hopefully he'll get it before then. Let's start with number 1. So this ex-player of ours, he was once caught up in quite the scene whilst playing away at Watford, much to my entertainment.
Caught playing away. I'm going with some random Mick Harford, just because I remember a certain scene. I'm not too sure if it was him. Okay, that's me one. Mick Harford would be my guess.
Mick Harford. Okay. The second clue then. He counts Chelsea amongst the many clubs he has been a part of during his career.
I'm still keeping Mick Harford as my choice.
You still think Mick Harford? Third clue then. There's almost 2 parts to this. He is a striker who counts Danny Wilson and Neil Warnock amongst his former managers.
Yeah, I'm still keeping Mick Harford. I think I got it right first time. That would be an absolute nightmare if I did that, wouldn't it? Because that would mean we have to get a new game next week.
So your final answer is Mick Harford?
It is.
It's wrong.
Oh.
It's not Mick Harford, Stu. But do not worry. There is an anagram clue to come.
Okay, I've lost.
The anagram, his name is an anagram of Noodle Mop.
Noodle Mop.
Noodle Mop.
Oh, my days.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
Give me 20 seconds. I don't think I'm going to get it. What are the other clues? I can't believe it. I was so sure of Mick Harford. Oh well. Week 1.
Week 1. There we go. Do you want me to put you out of your misery?
Go on then.
It is one Mr. Dom Polion.
Oh.
Of course it is.
Oh. See, I thought players of yesteryear. I didn't think you were going to go like players of last season. That's done me.
It had to be Dom Polion, didn't it? Who else could it be for the first one? Yes, once whilst playing for Leeds, he got into a little incident with the Watford goalkeeper. The goalkeeper got injured. There was lots of injury time, and in that injury time, Leeds went on to beat Watford, which meant Watford didn't get promoted hilariously. He was a Chelsea youth player, and he has played for Danny Wilson and Neil Warnock, so there you go.
See, Mick Harford, he did do that little walking in between their celebration, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he did do that.
I'm not going to lie. I've led you up the garden path there with those clues.
You have, and I fell for it. Anyway, what's that?
I think we'll keep with this game. I prefer this game.
Yes. It's such a shame that in practice I got it right.
Sorry, what?
Moving on.
I have no knowledge of this practice game, whatever. Okay, songs for players, 2 more this week. You can hear that, right?
I'm singing along, yes.
It's Horny by Moose T. Just going to fast forward it a little bit though, because it's a bit long.
And I can't wait for you and the things you make me do. My heart is ringing, so I'm singing this song for you.
Jay Antwi. Antwi, Antwi, Antwi. Jay Antwi. Antwi, Antwi, Antwi. Jay Antwi. Antwi, Antwi, Antwi. Jay Antwi. Antwi, Antwi, Antwi.
Oh, brilliant.
Now, you have to admit, that's going to make its way onto the terraces at Kingsmeadow this season, surely.
Do you know what? I'm going to have a chat with my good friend Mikey T and just see whether he would have the courage to play that before a game. I can see it happening now.
That song or that version of it?
With that version of it, I'm sure he will love it for that.
I bet you he'll go for that one. I wonder if he'll go for this one now. I've trimmed the intro off this one because it really would take too long. Okay, so we're going to go fairly straight into it.
Cool.
But you ready for this?
Let's go.
Here we go.
Callum Kennedy. Callum Kennedy.
I'm lost for words, I really am.
Now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that one's got as much chance of getting onto the terraces of Kingsmeadow, but it made me laugh anyway.
Oh, this is a hilarious feature, I must say, but I'm going to be struggling to keep my my composure without laughing.
I think you're allowed to laugh, Stu. I think it's fine. I think you're okay.
Yeah.
You might be the only one laughing whilst listening to this podcast, to be honest with you.
If people are not laughing at this, then I don't know what will make them laugh.
There's a challenge for us, isn't there? I can think of some things, but let's not go down that road. Let's have a look ahead. What's happening this week? Well, we have 2 friendly games away at Aldershot on Friday night, then away at Ebbsfleet on Saturday, 7:30pm and 3pm kickoffs respectively. You going to Aldershot, Stu?
Yes, I am.
Which tickets are you going to take with you this time?
I don't think it's not an all-ticket game, so I'll probably pay on the day.
Ah, you got away with it this time. Because we all know what happened last time, don't we?
Yes. Let's move on.
Okay.
Because for people that know, obviously I got married in the summer, and Nick used this as one of his best man speech, didn't you, Nick?
As one of my best man speeches.
Well, you did.
How many did I have?
I don't know. It just felt like it went on for ages. Or for somebody, or my wife, it felt like it went on for ages. But yes, you have used the Aldershot one in your speech. Bless you.
Is that Lorraine Olive, your wife there?
That would be the Lorraine Olive, yes.
Lorraine Olive. Updates from Aldershot and Episode will be available on Twitter and Instagram at 9YRS Podcast and on Facebook as well. If you don't already like our Facebook page, please do so now, facebook.com/9YRS Podcast, and you will get all our latest audio and video updates, as well as be alerted to when we go live with news and reaction to all of our pre-season games. Stu, the live service for the Burton Albion game worked really well with the help of Mark Hendricks, George Jones and Kevin Boris. Yeah,
we're just, not trying it because we're going to do it for the rest of the season, but we're just, mucking around. We've got a bit of new software that we're using to make it look all very, very professional, which works until I start talking. But yeah, we hope people are enjoying it, and we're going to do that for the rest of the season. And please, we have some questions, quite a lot of questions actually during that, so please chuck your questions our way, and we will do our best to provide you with a thoughtful and good response, really, as much as we can do. Response.
Yeah, just a response of any sort of form, really. Yeah. But I very much enjoyed those updates this week, so thank you all for that.
That's okay.
And just think, this time next week, Stu, we'll be getting ready for Scunthorpe and the start of the season for real.
I don't know about you. Well, you don't do pre-season, so you wouldn't be able to answer this one. But I get to a stage where I get to the week before the season, and I'm bored with the non-contact, although if you were at Wycombe Wanderers on Tuesday, you would have thought we were making contact on Tuesday. But yeah, I'll get to a bit of stage, but I can't wait for Scunthorpe. It's a great start. Scunthorpe away, followed by your next away game at Fleetwood, followed by the next away game at Blackpool. What a cracking start to our away games this season.
Certainly putting the miles in, weren't we, in those early days. But for this week, it is time to say thank you very much for joining us. If you haven't already, please check out our website, 9yrspodcast.org, for our latest Monday essay, this week from Ray Armfield, who discussed goalkeeper George Long. And also remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, and if you do, you'll never miss an episode of the worldwide leader in AFC Wimbledon audio entertainment, which next Thursday will feature the winner of Love Island, who is... no, me neither. In the meantime, Alexa Bliss, and remember, bag first, milk last. We'll speak to you again next week.
Drifting back into those glory days. They'll sing about girls and cars, sneaking into bars, drunk face fights and battle scars. Lord, how I wish those days were mine. And they'll sing about smoking in the glory days, chasing the ones that got away. Lord, I could spend this whole damn night dreaming about the sweeter time. Lord, you got your high school sweetheart, they're breaking all the rules, they're fogging up their